Hi, it's Sue and David. Again, welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying the series that we've put together. Um, so today's topic, I think, is um, quite an interesting one. I've sort of found it a few years ago, and I think it's quite powerful. So it's talking about hierarchy in relationship and how I mean this. So in a society, and probably all societies, you have a person up the top. Um, in order for them to, I suppose, keep their position, they then create rules. Those rules are then laid down by law. Then you've got those laws being policed to a certain extent, and then from there is punishment for breaking the rules or the laws. And that tends to be what happens in sort of society altogether, that sort of someone's up the top, someone wins, they have the power, and the rest of us sort of just go along in the situation.
I think, most organisations are hierarchical in some way. I work in a university and there's a chancellor and a vice chancellor and a bunch of deputy vice chancellors and a bunch of pro vice chancellors and a bunch of deans and a bunch of heads of schools, a bunch of deputy heads of schools, and so on. There's a massive organisational chart, and most businesses obviously have the org chart, and there's the CEO and the COO and the CFO and then a whole variety down there. So, and I guess we're kind of talking about the idea that a marriage or other romantic relationship can tend to mirror that.
Follow that tradition of being a hierarchy in the fact that in a relationship, someone has to be the boss. Someone has to.
We have the assumption that someone has to be the boss.
Yes. That assumption that, and then if someone has to be the boss, then someone wins and someone else has to lose. That type of thing. So we've talked about, I think, that win and lose sort of thing. But so that. And I don't think that when you're in a relationship, that is such a good...
Yeah, no, it's not a great model. I know certain, actually a lot of religions over the years have had this kind of, in Christianity it's called Headship Theology, that the man is the head of the household and controls and makes all the decisions. But if you do that, you're actually losing the thinking power of half the team.
Precisely.
You're not bringing the best resources of everybody to helping your relationship prosper.
So, in order to, I suppose, change that model, is to we can't just ditch it. We've got to replace it with something, and so we're looking at sort of like replacing it with a circle of relationship. So when you're in a circle of relationship, then you've got the two of you as the center wheel, and then you use your resources that go out from that wheel, much like a stone in a pond. Your ripple effects go out, and so when you're in this circle of relationship, then it means that you can just then use your strengths, your weaknesses to enhance the whole unit, and to be able to then share and.
Yeah, well, and it comes back to your nouns versus verbs thing that you talk about sometimes, which is there's not a designated leader as the noun, but there is leading. That you can still be leadership within the relationship because you're equal in terms of value, but you may again have, this is something we talk about very often, have different strengths, different passions, different goals, and so on. So each of you will take turns leading in relation to particular things, because then you get the strongest leader leading in relation to a particular thing rather than just the same person all the time.
Yeah, and I think that there's that sort of saying, the sum of the parts is. Can you remember that saying? Sort
of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
That's it. The whole is greater than this, and so if you're branching off the parts and putting them in boxes that this is only you can do and this is what you can do, is pointless, and it doesn't become the effective team.
I think one of the things that sometimes happens is that, and again we've talked about it before, I'm more introverted, you're more extroverted. So I think possibly from outside our relationship, it looks like you're the boss sometimes. And and sometimes I'll play on that for humorous effect, that I've got to ask the boss about something or whatever. But I don't think it's not that from inside. It doesn't feel that way from inside. But I think, and that's one of the things, we can't judge other people's relationships from the outside. But we just think it's more powerful to have the two of you working to your strengths than to...
And I agree with that, because even though, just in terms of, I mean, you've done, this is going back a number of years, but you've done your master's, you've done your PhD and sort of so forth. And, I was that year 10 dropout sort of, kind of way back when we first sort of met. But even though you had sort of more intelligence, more, sort of knowledge about things, I was still able to contribute to that, because I would get to ask you specific questions that, like, if you can explain it to me and get me to understand something, then you have it. So if I don't understand something, then you're not explaining it well. So that play off in terms of, the strengths and the weaknesses doesn't,
Yeah, well, and a couple of things about that. One is that it would have been really dumb for me to pretend to be the smart one, ironically, because if a relationship had been set up in a hierarchy that I'm the one who knows stuff and you're not, well, for a start, you wouldn't now have the same number of degrees that I have. So you've done a lot of catching up. But also, we would have missed out on exactly what you just said, that you were able to challenge me to think more deeply and to grow and learn and so on. And if I'd assumed that you didn't have anything to contribute, we would have lost all of that.
Yeah.
So, that's a great example.
And it's a huge one, because you wouldn't have become the best you are now, and I wouldn't have become, because I would have still been a year 10 dropout, because in talking to you and realising, hey, I'm not dumb after all, that I do have something to contribute, then we wouldn't be talking on this video. So using, and that's what that shared core, that shared circle of relationship is about, is just bringing each other up and challenging each other to become the best of ourselves, and then we both win.
Absolutely.
So this is, so I hope you enjoyed this. So this is Sue and David signing off for this week, and we look forward to catching you next week. Bye for now.
See ya.